Hi, everyone. This is Jen Grisanti. And in this video, I want to talk with you about what I feel is the number one reason that story fails. The number one reason that I feel story fails is that we don't know why the central character wants what they want in the pilot and or series arc. So in show after show that I watch and that I break down and that I consider utilizing for my digital products, I'm always looking at what is working and what is not working. And the biggest reason that so many shows that have an incredible concept and world fail at a certain point is because we are not connecting with the why. We don't know why the lead character wants what they want. And when I look at other shows that are working at a very high level, it is because the writer understands how to establish why the character wants what they want in the pilot and the series. So this recognition is what prompted my angle of story this year, which is story therapy. Recognizing that when you work on the story from the inside out, then we feel the story. We understand what the writer is trying to say with what they are writing. And this is so crucial to the success of why a show works or doesn't work. I've worked in story for close to 30 years. I was a former 12-year studio executive, and I've been a 13-year writing instructor for Writers on the Verge at NBC. And during this time, I have seen story evolve in so many ways, as we all have, through streaming versus network. We're seeing story go so much further than it ever has. And my love for what I do is trying to figure out tools that can help demystify the pilot writing process and to lead the writer to write not only a successful pilot, but to write a successful series. So I started my own business 13 years ago, and I knew when I started my business that my focus was going to be on the writing of the TV pilot. My reason for this was in my experience of having staffed over 15 top primetime shows is the recognition that the TV pilot script is what could take a writer from being a non-working writer to a working writer. So that's why I put everything into demystifying the TV pilot and identifying shows that are working every year. So my whole angle of story is really coming from the current programming executive lens. I look at story every year. I figure out what series, and this year one film, are telling story in a way that we feel the story. This is what I want to pass on. This is what I want to teach. I know from staffing the 15 primetime shows that you can't just write a great script. You have to write a script that hits it out of the ballpark. So that is why I have studied story every year and why I identify the top shows so that I can do breakdowns for you. Now, what I do with my breakdowns is my breakdowns tell me everything. I started doing breakdowns for shows when I was an assistant to Aaron Spelling. So my first executive job where I climbed the ladder and eventually became head of current programming was at Spelling Television. And Aaron Spelling was my mentor for 12 years. So during that time is when I learned the key to how you figure out whether the story is working or not working. And that is in breaking down the story. I would have to do breakdowns for all the pilot scripts that would come into the spelling office, as well as the current shows. And what that did was it gave me the training to understand all of the components of story. And that is a tool that has been with me ever since then. In being a writing instructor for Writers on the Verge, I used this tool in the same fashion. I broke down shows so that I could explain what is working and how they can mimic what is working in the pilots that they were writing. So the number one reason that I feel shows that fail is because we don't understand why the character wants what they want. If you sign up for story therapy, you will learn how to write your story from the inside out. And with this, you'll learn what goes into why the central character wants what they want. With this, we're going to look at the idea of the earlier wound and how the earlier wound leads to a negative narrative or false truth. And that leads to not only one flaw, but a series of flaws. But there is a dominant flaw that gets in the way of the character being able to reach the dream. So with story therapy, you'll get modules. You'll get 8 modules that go into this, and you'll get breakdowns for the shows I have identified for this year, which include Mayor of Easttown, Hacks, Flight Attendant, Ted Lasso, Startup, and the film Sound of Metal. And for the first time this year, I also did full season breakdowns for Mayor of Easttown and Ted Lasso. So the value to you with the full season breakdown is to look at what is working, why it's working, how you set up the series arc, how each episode of the season is a step toward or away from the series arc question, which all includes why the character wants what they want. Then there is a live online portion of the Story Therapy event, which begins on February 15th at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And this is very much like a fellowship. It's everything I taught in Writers on the Verge. I have selected 5 writers at level 3. We will have these 5 writers turn in material every week. I will give notes. The class are also able to give notes because giving notes is a huge part of being a working writer. Then I will have top level writers, executive producers who are going to come in and listen to 5 pitches per week. And each pitch is going to be 5 minutes in length, and you're going to get feedback from top working writers. So this is a system that has led to 97 pilots being sold from the writers I have worked with. I would love to have you be a part of the story therapy community. And I wanted to take this time to tell you what I believe is the number one reason that story fails, and that is why I am doing story therapy. Thank you so much. This is Jen Grisanti, and I look forward to having you join us.